your people. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Watchalong. It's Rugby World Cup. It's England against Japan. It's a big clash, and the Japanese will take this one home, hopefully. But supporting the mighty English, well, not mighty at the moment, but supporting the English is good old money.
Evening. I'm sure you're quite a happy chappy after that dominant display by the Springboks against Romania, who are quite simply lambs to the slaughter. And next week's clash against Ireland will be an absolute classic. I'm sure you've got a watch-along plan for that, yes?
No, I'll watch it with family. I can't contain emotions, but yeah, if you're up for it, you can do it on yourself, and I will just hop on off time. But that's a family thing. That one.
Yeah, that's a story for another day, and it's good to see that. I know your dad, Dr. Johan Trollope, obviously is quite busy professional, but it's great to see how in South Africa, when it comes to watching the Springboks or the Proteas, at times it can be a family affair, eh?
Yeah, look, it's sports in our family. It runs deep, so
Right.
yeah.
So, of course, it is Lewis Ludlam who will be starting at number 8. Obviously, Tom Curry's suspension has brought about a change with Ben. Obviously, I think it is Ludlam who will be at number 8. And we've got Joe Marler starting at prop instead of Ellis Genge, who is on the bench. Instead of Danny Kerr as a backup scrum half, it is Ben Youngs, who is backing up Alex Mitchell, who had a pretty good game. Oh, and it's anthem time, so I'll be standing up and, muting myself.
Then I will go through the lineups quickly. Let me just get them up. So the lineups for both teams. Besides just fan, the lineups for both teams are just like a scroll down. There's the Japanese lineup. So for Japan, Keita Ingaki, Sona Ori, John Gu, Jack Cornelson, Mato Fakatawa, Michael Leach, of course, experience, Peter Labuskachny, Kazuki Himono, captain, number 8, and then backline, Yotaka Nagara, Rikia Matsuru, Matsuru. The number 10, he's quality. Ryoto Nakamura, Toki Dana Kotayara, Machu Shuyama, Sesi Mashira. Yeah, that's Japan. I know this language is bad to pronounce. Joe Marler, Jamie George, Carl Sinclair, Maro Itoje, Ollie Shisham, Courtney Laws captaining the side, Ben O coming in at number 7, Lewis Lutman, Alex Mitchell, George Ford, Elliot Daly, Manu Tugulani, of course, great game against Argentina for him, Joe Marchant, Johnny May, and Freddie Stewart make up the England lineup. So, big time here for England. I think Alex Mitchell. I think he came into the lineup. I think he's one of 2 changes. So yeah, mute.
Yeah. Mitchell actually started against Argentina, and Danny Kerr came on for him, and this time around, it's Ben Youngs, England's most captain international, who'll be backing up Mitchell, who did look really good against Argentina and could have a big role to play today. And it will be interesting to see how the reshaped back row looks. Joe Marler is starting at loose head prop, and it's Kyle Sinclair in place of Danny Cole. So Borthwick has seen it fit to try to, you know, uh, freshen the team as much as he possibly can. Good to see. I mean, I think it's Vunipola who's on the bench as well, and Ollie Lawrence on the bench as the backup fullback, Marcus Smith, George Martin, William Stewart, and the replacement hooker is Theodore Dan. So it's effectively Jamie George is the only one from the front row who remains. But Itoje and Chesham will have big roles to play as the locks. England will need to make sure they win all their lineouts like the big teams will normally do. And it's pretty much the same back lineup. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And we are just about to get underway. England, of course, in their dark blue strip. And it is George Ford, the number 10, who has the ball in his hand. And we will be getting underway any minute now. I want to make sure I get the names of the Japanese guys. Michael Leitch has been around. Due to
Yeah,
the weather
Michael.
issues, my signal may not be working. But the referee is a Georgian gentleman named Amashikoli, and the officials' names come so quickly, I just can't, get them enough. But George Ford
It's
with his right
Georgia
foot,
Nika Ashamokuli.
yeah.
Got a terrible surname. Uh,
Yeah, but they've
Nika.
just kicked off. They've just kicked off. George Ford sending it deep into the Japanese half, but Japan are able to, retrieve that. And
Yeah,
there is a
I will
Labuschagne playing
be.
for Japan, not the Marnus that you know very well, but Peter Labuschagne, the uh, open side flanker wearing number 7. And we see England on their way.
Yeah,
And once again,
I'm just behind you.
the
So
signal is really
yeah,
causing me some problems. So if you're just behind me, how many seconds are you behind me? You can take over commentary duties if you like.
I'm on 24, 25, 26, 27,
You're
28,
20. You're 20
29.
seconds behind me. And attempted a kick forward, but nobody really on the end of that from England's point of view. And Japan retrieved that, and that
Oh,
will.
is that maybe a knock on there in his goal line? Yeah, scrum for England. That he
Oh
knocks it
yeah,
on.
yeah. It looked like a knock on. Um,
Oh, silly
Elliot
mistake.
Daly.
Silly mistake from
Yeah.
Japan. Come on, Japan, man. Can't lose this game.
I'm sure as a South African, you don't need to be reminded of that shock result, which was
No, no, no.
masterminded
Sure,
by a
sure, sure,
certain
sure.
Eddie Jones.
I
Right.
forgot about that. Money. No, come on.
I'm
I thought we
sorry. I'm sorry, but you know how it is with me. And
did.
the scrum is collapsed, and it will go again. I
But
really
yeah,
don't
your
like the
prediction.
idea of having England should win quite easily, and I'm just about to say that I don't like this practice of having the players' names on the backs of their jerseys because it's like you have to prepare a new set every single game. It's ridiculous.
True, true. It is a lot of expenses.
England are
Um,
the only team who's done it, but I suppose, changes are common and it goes through right now, trying to make sure. But yeah, and it's retrieved, and England are trying to go through. It is number 13, Marchant, who's stopped near the goal line, and Japan's defense holding firm, but it might only be a matter of time. They retrieve the ball again, England, still stuck before the goal line, trying to force their way through, but just not able to get there, and the referee has stopped play, and we're
well,
going to find
that
out if there's infringement.
great defense there by Japan. Let's see. Advantage it was being played there for England, so I guess maybe penalty for advantage for offside.
Yeah, it's an offside for against Japan, so England do
Yeah,
have the advantage. So,
offside.
Hannah, why don't you just explain how the defensive team can be offside? What are the principles involved here?
So basically, um, for a scrum or a line out, you are 10 meters away each team. So if you are inside um, uh, if the ball is not out and you like the ball isn't played by a scrum off, and you push up, then basically early that's offside. Or when it's just when they're attacking and it's a breakdown, then it's you gotta be behind the last man's feet, and if you push up too early, then you're offside. So basically, before the ball is out, you're not allowed to move. Need to move before when the ball
Yeah,
is
and
out.
we're going to talk a bit about that, but England were awarded a penalty and they decided to kick for goal. George Ford kicked that over, and so 4 minutes on the clock, England are 3-0 up. And so
I need Japan
Japan
to
will.
cause another upset, please. Come on.
Yeah.
But
And so
I'm
Japan.
backing.
Oh, it's a
I
short kick along the floor, and it's retrieved by England's number 7, Earl, and they're going to try and move forward here. I've never done a.
smart
I
one
don't think
from
I've done. I'm
Japan.
not too experienced with rugby watch along. So this is really, really good fun, a good experience. And thank you for welcoming me on, Hanno. By the way, a kick forward from Mitchell, but that should be claimed fairly easily. No, it is back with England, and Itoje Mitchell once again hoping to kick that into touch, but it goes a little bit further than that beyond the Japan goal line, and Japan can claim that fairly easily. And
Let's see.
the Japanese number
Okay.
14,
I let them.
Kotaro Matsushima, touches it down, and Japan will have possession. Jamie Joseph, the
Almost
head
fifty
coach of
twenty
Japan.
two that from the England scrum off.
Yeah. And we're going to talk obviously a little bit about a very common infringement that takes place. Obviously, whenever there's, I think you call it a ruck, and the other team tries to, cause a turnover and take the ball. If your feet are not on the ground, then that is also an infringement. Can you confirm that? And what is the scientific? What is the basis of that, basically?
So basically, when you try and go for the ball, you need to um, be on your feet. Your hands can't go past the ball on the ground. So you can keep your hands on the ground, but it can't go past the ball, and you basically scoop it up. Um, but yeah, just as you gotta be on your feet. If you're off your feet or push of it, then you are then it's you don't win the ball. But if they're all on it for long enough, and you basically win it, then yeah, or you steal it directly,
Hmm.
then it's your ball.
Right.
Potential foul
And
play there.
yeah, it looks that
If
way. Masirewa, the fullback, was apparently impeded, and he's on the floor with what looks to be
ooh,
a bit of a quadricep problem. We could see a substitution. In fact, the Japanese number 23, Lamano Lemeki, is warming up right now. I think all of these players in the Japan squad have some Japanese heritage or have probably, I don't know if they've necessarily qualified through residency, but when we saw them singing the national anthem, and it's wonderful to see how they've embraced their adopted country, and they're also enough, you know, uh, Japanese born and bred players to also complement that team, and it's a wonderful sight to see in
yeah,
many ways.
yeah. I think a good thing, almost the difference between rugby and soccer is with like soccer, you need to have something, um, some parents, or you have got to, yeah, basically heritage there in the country for you to represent them. Yeah, you just need to live in the country for a period of time, because I think most of them have played in Japan rugby, which has allowed them to basically play for Japan as a nation.
Yeah, and a Japanese line out won by the
Thanks, sir.
Japanese, and
Let
there's
David
still
send me that.
a little bit of kicking going on. And obviously, I do like this play where the ball is kicked up in the air, and you see people trying to run for it and try and get it. Depending on a little bit of a mistake in not being able to hold on, it makes for some pretty exciting play. So it's sort of a kick and rush game, and of course the crossfield kick, which sees Japan moving forward along the left. Some really, really good play going on over here. Quick release and hoping to get that touch, but that should be easily retained. And England should kick that into touch. But no, it isn't kicked into touch. It's actually kicked back into the field of play, but straight into the Japanese hands, and they can try and move down the right if they can move forward enough. Kicked along the ground, but some good handling from George Ford puts pay to that attack. And a lot of
Okay,
argy-bargy going on there. Elliot Daly had the ball, and it's already handbags at dawn at 8 p.m.
that's it.
UK time.
Well,
Oh boy,
nice
this
work
is
by Ford and Daly to try and keep the ball out, and then just a bit of push and shoving um, with the between the players. I think it's a number 9 that's on the phone now. So yeah, Einipen, be up yourself. We'll not talk on Chelsea. We'll save that for Wednesday. Uh,
yes.
yeah, Wednesday when we do the tactical show. Yes, that's be up yourself. Hope you are good. Just smash that like button if you haven't already. And subscribe button. That would be massively appreciated. Fly now to Japan. From it, well claimed there. Now Japan looking to put some points on the board.
Yeah, but Japan have actually
Well,
been penalised for not releasing the ball. In fact, remember you're
yeah.
20 seconds
So
behind me.
yeah, uh, exactly called. Also, sometimes, in some cases, the ref might blow against you for not allowing the player to place the ball, but that doesn't really happen that much anymore.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
and
because
then
like I saw what happened there. The Japanese had an opportunity to really stage a good attack, but if you sort of settle on the ball, then that's not really looking good for you. And England win that line out, and Ford kicking it straight up into the air, hoping to find a teammate. It is, of course, knocked back, and England can claim it forward. So obviously, you know, when you sort of end up bobbling the ball, you can't play it forward. But if it goes backwards, not a problem. And we
Barrow,
see them along the left, moving
Daly,
forward. Elliot Daly
Daly.
alone, but he loses control of the ball, and that promising attack ends up coming for nothing. So it looks as though Japan's defense has been working really well. Would you say
Yeah,
that they're going to base all of their strategy on some strong defense against this England team?
yeah, definitely. I think that's what they need. 'Cause I think one thing you have seen from these tier 2 nations um is that no yeah is that um they lack defensively to be aware of what they do in some cases defensively and the strength. And Japan got a free kick there. So basically, a free kick is when it's not a penalty, but it's just something that's happened um, that isn't allowed. But if you kick the ball out of into touch, it's the opponent's ball. So yeah, that's basically how free kick works. Farrell, yeah, he is back for the next match.
Yeah.
Um, but if England win, I think they qualified basically.
It's their
But
second game, so there's still a lot more rugby to be played, I think, and
yeah, but
they'll have some
who else is
tougher.
in their group? I don't think what Chile, Samoa. Yeah,
Yeah, Samoa could be.
so Samoa could be a dangerous game.
Yes, I'm actually old enough to remember in 1991 when Wales, of course, were in the same group as Western Samoa, and yeah, and they actually were played a very big part in Wales not qualifying for the final stages, the knockout rounds. Wales, of course, had finished third in the first ever World Cup in 1987, but in 1991, that Samoan team was really top quality. I don't know how they are right now. And Japan claimed the ball, a pretty wayward pass there. And can they move forward with it? Some great handling, good movement. There's a player available on the left, and he can run forward. But some good work there from Ford, stopping him in his tracks. But Japan moving it forward once again and trying to release the ball, and they eventually do so. And
Let's see. Good track, good work there by Ford and now Japan. They had an overlap. They probably should have used it. That space.
yeah, I saw
Let's
that
see.
overlap, mind you. Yeah, they could have, but that's where the offensive awareness can come into play, as you mentioned. But they are looking very, very good, I have to say. And
Yeah.
after Fiji's shock win today, we can never take these nations for granted. Great handling with Japan from Japan, still moving forward, and they're
Japan
causing a
now.
lot of problems now for the England defense. I think for the a kick forward, but the Japanese number 11 was unable to get to that. And this is some very ambitious play there, but Naikabula wasn't able to get that. Johnny Naikabula. And
Let
but
me see
Japan
what
really are
happened here.
looking Japan are looking good. They're looking very good. They're very
I
adventurous.
think
They're not
were they
afraid.
playing
And
with advantage? They're
well, I
adventurous.
think England have just been penalised for the
Yeah, so
the
so
tackler
Japan
not
were
releasing the
playing
ball.
with advantage. So basically, advantage um, is like in soccer or in football, but um, except where when you lose the ball in football, the advantage is over. In rugby, they go back with the penalty appeal.
Right. So Japan have been awarded a penalty and they've opted
Player,
to take the kicker goal to tie the scores up at 3-3. A
yeah,
straightforward kicker goal, and we're going to see who takes it. It is Riika Matsuda, the fly half, number 10, and he has the responsibility of kicking this straightforward penalty between the uprights to tie things up at 3-3, and he does so with aplomb. And you've got to say that it's no less than what they've deserved, really. I mean, they could have had a try themselves, but they're showing that they're no pushovers, the Cherry Blossoms.
yeah, definitely no, and that's what you like to see. Again, the big thing is question is will they have enough to sustain have enough energy because that's what we saw happen with Japan against Chile. Chile also gave Japan a hard game in the first half. Then the second half, the fitness of Japan just took forefront, and Chile couldn't cope.
Yeah, the chili just wasn't hot enough for Japan, one could say.
Who do England play? Let me just check who England play.
And Dan's
They
saying
play
England should be back
Chile,
in.
so yeah, they should be back in white.
Yeah, and just as well because the worst part about being in white is that chili can cause a stain.
Good
You
work
get you
there.
get a lot of these stupid puns from me if you don't know by now. I'd like to think it adds to these streams. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. But you can see already Japan players feeling some pain, and that's it. This is a big one, big problem for these smaller nations.
Right.
Is the
So listen,
fitness.
we've just seen a penalty being awarded from a line out, which was not done properly. I believe it deviated a bit too far in England's favour, and for that reason, I think the referee awarded a penalty
Yeah.
to Japan, and they've now got the ball forward. So when the
Uh,
hooker takes a line
no,
out, it's not supposed to
no, sorry.
deviate. It's supposed to.
This So
Yeah.
this offense was because one of the England players moved out and then came back in, almost setting
Ah,
up for
right.
that driving more. Um, but for that, it needs to be thrown in the middle between the two teams, players that are jumping. It can't be towards your own player that you are throwing it to. And they
Right.
search up the
And
touchline there, Japan, and it's a great one. By the number 9 or number 10. So it will be a line out for England. Um, a great bit of work catching the England.
yeah,
Oh, quickly
and
taken by
Mitchell.
England and I throw it over the line out. Quick thinking there from England.
Yeah,
You saw something something like that in the Australian Fiji game where the they kicked a 50-22 Australia, and then they took the line out quickly, thrown in, quick throw in, which you can take, but it needs to be taken in a limited, in, uh,
yeah,
basically a time limit, and they
yeah.
did it, and they went over to score a try.
And we
So
just saw a
that's
Japan line out there, which they lost because I believe the Japan lock and Courtney Laws, the England captain, jumped up at the same time. And yeah, this is also another problem because we've seen all of these tier 2 teams not really have the best line out records. They lose a lot of their line outs, and that
yeah,
happened
that's
when Tonga
that's true.
played Ireland, especially. Um, Laws actually had some quick thinking there, but it is now, of course, an England scrum, still in the England half. Alex Mitchell doing the honours, and you know we're going to take a look at the scrum right now. The ball, of course, has to sort of go through the players, and it's still,
Yeah,
and the scrum ends up getting collapsed right now, and that's not a good sight to see, is it?
yeah. It's something that takes a lot of time to reset and everything. So yeah, but this is the first game really there's been any trouble with the scrums that I have seen. Um,
Mm.
penalty
And
count goes to England. So good work. Collapse on the side of Japan. So
yeah, but there was a problem with the pitch
uh,
there. I mean, you're going to see,
yeah,
part of
problem
that
with
being
the
ripped right
pitch.
up there.
Yeah, so I think one big thing is in Europe, especially in Ireland, Scotland, and France. Some of the pitch are it's not real grass. It's
AstroTurf.
no, not astro. Cinematic. I think it's the word. Let me just.
Right, and so the scrum is taken, released fairly quickly. Forward kick, charge down, and do Japan get it? Get it? No, they don't. And England are able to retrieve that and stop a Japanese try. We're coming up to the 20-minute mark in the first
Basically
half.
artificial.
Yeah, it is artificial,
Artificial.
but a very big piece of play there. Japan are not afraid to get stuck in, and you saw
Yeah.
a kick from forward charge down, but England are able to sort of hook that away into touch and avoid the danger. And you see the Japanese attack causing the England defence quite a few problems.
Yeah, definitely. And I think almost that Argentina game impressed a lot of people from England's end point of view. But this game is showing that England really aren't that great. Um, but this Japan giving them a hard time, real hard time.
Yeah. Right. Now, we also saw a really big piece of play where George Ford's kick was charged down. Now, I have seen certain attempts at charging down kicks penalised and some not, and that was actually allowed to go through. Fortunately for England, they stopped a potential Japanese try. So, when you charge down a kick, when does it get penalised and when doesn't it get penalised?
Um, I think it gets penalized mostly when it really isn't when it's more of mm, mm, how can I say? It's hard to explain it because it's basically when if you if you touch it down, but like you hit it forward just like that, it's not really a attempt to block the kick. It's more just to hit the ball back. Then it's called penalized and called a knock on.
Okay.
But we have seen also, yeah, that's basically that.
Yeah. So
So
what happened here was that forward's kick was charged down and the ball didn't really go forward. So because it didn't go forward, it wasn't penalized. Maybe I don't know, but
no,
Japan could
because
have
like
benefited from that.
it was a general attempt to touch the ball down, and it wasn't like on purpose, just clap it down on type thing.
Yeah. Very
But
good.
it, it's hard to explain for. Uh, I just see the stuff and I know that.
Yeah. So a Japanese line out. Do they win this one? Yes, they do. And Japan obviously now being, held back, but the ball is being. Is it getting released now? Yep, finally released. And once again, the back row forwards doing their job. You could say that the back row forwards are the equivalent of defensive midfielders who try to prevent, teams really going forward. And once again, every now and then, my signal goes kaput due to the poor weather in my neck of the woods. But it comes back again, and we see some more good play. Courtney Laws and company are playing a big role in trying to force Japan, back and not really allow them to go too forward. But great ball control from the Japanese, and
Let
a possible try here. No, is that a knock on?
let's see. Penalty advantage for Japan, but can they prevail? Quick ball here for Japan. Let's see. Still
Well,
got advantage.
it's a penalty against England because they were offside.
Chip kick,
So
chip kick, knock on from England, then from Japan. So it won't be counted as a try, but so close. England can count themselves lucky, and Japan penalty
well, I
for
wouldn't call them
offside.
lucky because well, here's the thing: if Japan's try to decide to go for goal, they will take the lead. And I really don't know if you can call England lucky in that respect. But, we're going to take a look at this piece of play again if we can try and go forward. A nice kick forward. I think it bounced off the England players. Yeah, it was Stewart, the
Yes,
fullback, off whose chest it bounced. And, that would have been absolutely magnificent. But it is a kick at goal. It is Matsuda again. This kick could give Japan an amazing lead with 22 and a half minutes about to expire. Dead center, and Japan are 6-3 up.
could we see another major upset from Japan?
It's all coming up cherries at the moment, thanks to the cherry blossoms. And
Eight
Borthwick's going to
years
have a lot of
on,
work to do at half time, but I'll tell you that. Another kick from
8 years
George forward, hoping
on.
to
Could
get that into
Japan this
touch.
time cause an upset? 8 years on, they caused an upset against South Africa. Could they do the same against the English?
And now you're mentioning it. But again, it's
Well,
okay if you do it, not anyone else. I
yeah.
know the drill.
And that
But of course,
kick, good work by Japan keeping it in. But still a long way to go in this half. And beautiful chip kick, but well claimed there. And now England on the attack, looking for some territory, and they will get great kick from England. Line out 5 meters away from the Japanese try line.
but possible England try here though. We're going to take a look and see. It was a Japan line out, which somehow was won, but the ball's been bouncing here and there. I'm sorry, but you're 20 seconds ahead of me, and I think England have crossed over, and that will be a try.
Let's see. Japan line out, and the ball bobbles around, and he was just short of the line, and then forwards looking to go over. Nice bit of play. Yeah, try England made straight straight back. It's a try for the number three, I think.
And it
Those
all comes from another failed lineout from Japan. So
yeah,
these tier two teams have got to work on their lineouts. It's as simple as that.
I think set pieces is a big thing. Even scrums is a big thing for for England. For these tier two nations is the set pieces. Um, so let's see,
That was,
just
of course, yeah,
great
Lewis
work
Ludlam,
using his
who,
power
yeah,
to get it over. And this kick conversion from George Furwood, does it go over? It's a number eight. Um, of course,
yeah, Lewis
backing.
Ludlam. He was the one, of course, who's come into the team because of Tom Curry's suspension. And so England are now 10-6 up over Japan with George Ford's conversion good.
Yeah,
So some straightforward kicks from Ford and Matsuda. Still very close to call this game, and I think England are really going to have to depend on their bench strength to see them through here. Because
yeah, definitely agree.
now this Japanese kick is dead center, should be claimed fairly easily by Stewart, and England are going to try and work with it. Passed out by Mitchell, and it is Chesham trying to go forward, but stopped in his tracks. Reclaimed once again by Mitchell, who sort of backheels it out. And then Mitchell attempts to kick it into touch, but it doesn't go into touch. That is also well claimed by Japan. Another high kick up, hoping to find possibly a teammate, but that falls down. Well claimed by Mario Toje, who can move forward, but excellent tackling again from Japan. But still, England have numbers. Kick forward from George Ford, hoping to put them to touch. He doesn't do that. And Japan managed to get that into touch, and we're seeing once again some really, really good rugby. I think when we saw Tonga playing Ireland, we saw some brute physicality from Tutai Kefu's boys, which was really, really good to see. And they deserved their try at the end of the first half. But again, Ireland's experience and nous got them through. And you see the poor Fijian fullback over there the Japanese fullback, Masirewa, on the bench. He was still, it's sad to see him injured, but I think for this game, coming back to centre, I think England are going to have to depend on their bench strength. And for once, England lose a line out. Itoje not really cleanly claiming it, and Japan are able to get it. Japan need to release the ball, but they're unable to do so,
Let's
and
see
that
this.
should be a penalty for England.
So lineouts here for England. Nice. Oh, Japan got the ball well, but lost it on, and then yeah, knock on. So it is a scrum to England.
Yes. But good work there, forcing a line out turnover. Such a shame they weren't able to make the most of it. And yeah, so again, England are going to have to depend on their bench strength to try and see them through this particular game. And they're making heavy weather of it for now, we have to say.
Yeah. Uh,
And eventually, Mitchell is able to release it, but runs straight into a Japanese defensive wall. And it is
so
Earl
the
who
10
passes it
minutes
to
ago.
Itoje. Itoje trying to move forward, but also stops in his tracks. And once again, I believe it looks as though Japan lost their footing, I think. Their feet were in the air from the looks of it.
Let's see.
And
Advantage that's being played here for England. Toje,
yeah,
he decides to run with the ball, goes past the advantage line, and they're coming back for um, the contest where they wanted to steal the ball off defeat. Yeah, it was a great one for Fiji over Australia.
Yeah.
So George Ford says, "I'm kicking to the post." Shanice, will this one go over?
It should. It looks
So
dead center to me. Coming up to the half-hour mark. Yep, dead
that's it.
center.
He kicked a drop goal over from this distance last
And
week.
he misses it!
Misses. George Ford. Big kick miss. Because that kick would have made sure Japan had to score twice before taking the lead. Let's see. It's far out. Kicked a drop ball from that. Like I said, wayward. Didn't see that this kick good at all. How does it affect
Yeah.
him personally?
Well, half an hour's gone. It's England 10, Japan 6. And for the record, that kick, had it been successful, would have put them 7 points up. So a converted try from Japan would have seen them, draw level. But England had to do it all over again. A nice kick from forward up and well claimed by Stewart. And England try to move forward through Lewis Ludlam. He stopped in his tracks. Mitchell tries to kick that into touch, but that goes straight into the arms of a Japanese player. He ends up kicking it back.
Let's see.
And it looks as
Forward.
though a pen.
Ball into hands. High up and under. And it's Tua that claims it now. Courtney Laws. Then a box kick there, well claimed by the Japanese. They kick it back, and it's been taken out. But a ref is going to go for a penalty to Japan. I think
Yeah,
one
because of a late
think
tackle there
Stewart
from
was
Johnny
in
May.
front of Ford, maybe.
Yeah, it was Johnny
Sorry,
May who
Johnny
came
May.
in late on the Japanese player there. So it is the fly half Matsuda who can bring Japan to within one. And so that could
Yeah,
answer the question of how costly that George Ford miss could be.
let's see. So it's a Bosch there. I don't know why he's taking it all the way back. I guess from where Johnny May ran. But again, also one big problem for the tier two nations. They don't really have belief in going to the touch. But looking to make it a 1 point difference. Matsudo, Soda steps
And
up.
it is a 1 point difference now. So Japan have brought
Great.
themselves to within one. Of course, at one point they were leading by 3 before conceding that Lewis Ludlam try, but the cherry blossoms are still blooming.
Yeah.
But England do gain the ball and find out. Can't really see who that was, but they're still trying to move. Japan still blocking it, but England are releasing it well and a nice forward kick there, but that should be claimed easily by one of the Japanese players at number 14. And he goes past Marchant and some really good movement here from the Japanese. Looking really, really,
So Johnny May
sprightly and
now releases
exceptionally
it.
fit. And most of these Japanese players have, a lot of Pacific Islander, Aussie, New Zealand blood in their veins. So they actually come from a really good rugby culture. And they've obviously brought some of their know-how to Japan and have made them a pretty tough team to play against.
Yeah. Kick here. Going to search up from the number 9 from Japan. His kick is out for touch. Not far, he says, to the touchline. Referee that went further. But he says no.
Mm. And we see some poor now. Now Japan have it, and they were able to reclaim the ball, but a pretty poor kick forward from the Japanese number 6 meant that England got it back. And again, we see a relative lack of experience and sometimes composure, for want of a better word, from these tier two nations. But whenever
Michael
they can
Leach.
cause whenever they can cause a shock or two, it's always wonderful.
Yeah,
Michael
speaking
Leach
of
of all
Michael Leach,
people.
playing in his fourth Rugby World Cup. Michael Leach.
Wasn't he the captain in the last one, 2019?
I think he was. I think he was. Um, chance yet for no. They're going back to the penalty. Looks like George Ford wants uh, to go to the pause again. Or is it the scrum? I think the ref says it's a
Yeah.
knock on from Japan. Yeah, so it will be a
Of
scrum.
course, they now call themselves the Brave Blossoms, but Cherry Blossoms does sound quite nice indeed. And we see over here the scrum, there's a bit of a problem when the scrum doesn't quite go back to the scrum half who's standing behind. So after a certain period of time, I think one of the flankers is able to retrieve the ball and start taking it out. But surely there should be
No,
a
no,
penalty if
only
the
the
scrum
number
doesn't
eight.
go.
Only the number eight is allowed.
Okay, it is number 8. So in this case, it would be Lewis Ludlam who had that responsibility. But surely there would be a penalty if the scrum isn't released in time, yes?
No, the ref will tell him to use it. From what I am aware, I don't think there's a time limit. Because if the ball is available, they would play it. But sloppy bit of rugby there, and knock-ons. The ball not going to end, but it is a scrum to Japan.
Michael Leach, of
That
course, the most experienced player in the Japan squad with 80 odd caps to his name. And the most capped player is Hitoshi Ono, who earned 98 caps, too short of 100 there.
Yeah, but I think Michael Leach got a few more experience than him. Look, 4 World Cups he's played in, which is massive.
And he was, of course, I believe, captain in 2019. So, I mean, because, of course, I don't know if you probably might not have been born then. I think you weren't born because I remember the 2003 World Cup final between Australia and England, and it was a South African referee, Andre Watson, who was in charge of that. I think later on in the game, what happened was that the Australian players weren't really willing to participate so much in the scrum, and Watson kept, giving England all sorts of penalties for no apparent reason. And the England front row was, doing a really excellent job of damaging the Australian front row, but then it had to take Jason Leonard to come in as a substitute and sort of steady everything. And so we see collapsing the scrum. We see, other scrum-related penalties. So I think the opposing team, of course, will have a lot of reasons to try to, delay proceedings whenever there's a scrum going on. Yes.
Yeah, sometimes. That kick from Japan, direct out. Not a good showing. Closing in on half time, about 3 minutes left.
And if England do manage to get a try from this play, then it will make the scoreline a little bit more comfortable. But either way, Borthwick will have to read his play as the right act. Simple as that. Borthwick, of course, a member of the England team that reached the final of the World Cup in 2007 in France, which they lost, of course, to South Africa, I believe, to the tune of 6-15. Eddie Jones, of course, was South Africa's assistant coach that day.
Yeah.
And that South
Yeah,
African team was pretty good. Percy Montgomery, John Smith, captain, Osdu Rant in the front row, and of course the legend that is Brian Habana. You might have to see some clips of him, but you can see just how fantastic he was. Hello?
yeah, he was good.
And Fordy kicks that into touch, not far from the Japanese goal line. So England will have a line out close to the end of the first half, a chance to, score. Itoje claims that, but England drop it. They reclaim it, and it looks as though England might have a penalty here. Do they decide to make the territorial advantage count, or do they go for goal?
Now, knock on there by England, so it's a scrum for Japan.
Ah, yes, a knock on. Thank you for correcting me. Jamie George, the guilty
Oh,
party from the looks of it. And so this is good stuff from Japan because at least if they can try and, you know, move forward with this or kick it further up the field and into touch, they will give themselves some breathing space as the half comes to a close. There are 40 seconds left. Don't see too many stoppages being played, but we will see.
so let's see what happens from the scrum. Japan to feed it in. 30 seconds to go till the half time outer.
Yeah.
It gets it
Another
out.
interesting another interesting snippet about Borthwick. He was also forwards coach alongside Eddie Jones for the Japanese team in the 2015 World Cup. So certainly an emotional game for him in many ways. Earl taking that forward and England trying to make the most of their territorial advantage. They want that try before the end of the first half, and they're hoping to get it. Mitchell passing it to forward to Johnny May, who tries to take it forward, but he's effectively pushed back, and England are able to, win a penalty. And I think, this might be the last piece of action before the end of the first half, and we see a Japanese player on the floor. And Borthwick has done a decent job trying to steady the England ship after Eddie Jones got sacked. But I think the impression that I'm getting is that he hasn't really made the England team too much better, although they do perhaps look a little bit more solid, one could say.
Yeah, look, I think they look better um, than they were. Um, just what I have seen of it. They look there's a bit more energy under them, but of course, he was assistant coach um, for England under Eddie Jones. Now he is head coach. So
And England decide to take the penalty to end the first half, and George Ford kicks it over. And that gives England a 13-9 lead with the time clock hasn't elapsed yet, but one gets the feeling that this could be the last piece of action. Now it has indeed elapsed. And so half time, it is England 13, Japan 9. And we've been speaking about Borthwick, and as I've said, he has got to read his team the riot act. So, Hanno, I think we can both agree that Japan have greater cause for satisfaction despite ending the half 4 points down. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that they've been the better team, but they've certainly given England a lot of concerns. How do you see the second half panning out, and what do England have to do? What do Japan have to do? Take it away.
I think England will come out on top in the second half. Um, I think they just need to keep more of the ball. Don't concede these loose penalties. Just keep hold of the ball because Japan, when they have the ball, they don't look that threatening um, at the moment, except when they make a line break. So I think just keep hold of the ball. For Japan, look look for 50-22s and try to run with the ball more. But if Japan continue what they are doing right now, I think they could win definitely. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's a big worry because the worst thing that can happen, as Australia found out today, is that they start to get a bit complacent and start making a few careless mistakes. And England have also been making a few uncharacteristic errors with their handling, which they can't really afford to do.
yeah. I think handling errors is a big big thing for both teams really. Um, but yeah, that's just like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't join you for the Fiji Australia game because obviously Arsenal were playing and I had to host Del Boy's stream. But I
Well,
mean, I missed an absolute humdinger because I was expecting Australia to beat Fiji quite
well,
comfortably,
speaking
and
of, they will Arsenal. Well, they will. They weren't good. They weren't good. That's good.
yeah, I mean, look, we needed to beat Everton at Goodison Park by hook or crook, and we did it. But I don't want to talk about them any more than you want to talk about Chelsea, to be frank. And
Yeah.
as far as our Champions League game against PSV is concerned, I just hope we have a more sensible lineup. But anyway, less about that. I missed an absolute cracker, and there's a part of me that thinks, that maybe I could have. I was actually flicking back and forth trying to check the score, and I was shocked to see Fiji ahead. If you were able to watch that game, at least the second half, where do you think Eddie Jones and his boys went wrong?
I think just penalties. They considered 17 penalties. That's the main thing that they did wrong. Um, Nothing really else that they did wrong. So I think just 17 penalties conceded. That's rough. From if you if you're Australian or just from a neutral perspective, that's rough. 17 penalties. So yeah, but that's what I think.
Yeah. I remember saying that we got rid of Eddie Jones at the right time, but I never would have thought that he would have, you know, um, presided over this. And obviously, he's going to have a great deal of his work cut out when it comes to um, their remaining group games. And Australia, of course, are ranked seventh, one of probably at least partly the lowest I've seen them for quite some time. And the
Yeah,
last time, of course, they did well in the World Cup was in 2015 when they were runners up to the All Blacks then. But you know, two-time champions, two-time runners up, of course, but they've shown a lot of inconsistency. And when it comes to the squad selection, I think there is more than enough experience, but there are several big names that we're missing, really. Former captain James Slipper is in that team. Will Skelton being named captain was a huge, you know, surprise. But there was no Quade Cooper in that squad, and I wonder if Cooper would have made a bit of a difference to this particular team.
yeah. That was a big thing. He left out Quade Cooper and Michael Hooper, and included his Michael Hooper's brother Tom Hooper. So it's it was an interesting call. To be fair, that's
Yeah.
one.
And of course,
And
Jones was the Australian. Yeah, sorry, you were saying?
also it took off his kicker so early on, which was interesting.
Right. So, for what it's worth, Australia should be expected to qualify from Pool C alongside Wales, but Fiji could give Wales a very tough game indeed, considering how Wales struggled to beat Portugal yesterday.
They already
And
played. They already played
oh yeah,
that
yeah,
game.
Fiji, yeah. I remember. Now I remember
It's
that
it's
Wales.
between Wales and Australia basically next week.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that if Australia do beat Wales, they should be able to top the group. But because Wales haven't exactly looked great themselves, Gatland, of course, coming back to coach Wales again, has made some very big calls, naming two virtual unknowns as co-captains. He did that with Sam Warburton for a World Cup, which worked reasonably well. But I'm not too sure why he does the same thing again. And he was very quick to, pressure Alan Wynne Jones and Justin Tipperich into retirement. I still think Alan Wynne Jones would have been worth a place in the squad for his experience and enduring quality, but maybe there was an idea that, his best days were starting to, fade away with injury and what have you. And we will see a whole raft of Wales retirements in the future with the likes of Dan Biggar and others set to depart the scene. So Pool C might not see some good quality rugby, but Pool B is an absolute group of death. Ireland, South Africa, Scotland also, even without Stuart Hogg, they still look reasonably okay. You can't look beyond New Zealand and France in Pool A, and England, from the looks of things, should have a bit of an easier group. But who could join them? Could it be Argentina? Could it be Samoa? Could it be Japan? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think England should be free with that win against Argentina, but maybe they lose. They scrape this game, then they lose against Samoa. Samoa gets a few results. So yeah, still early to go. Let's not forget that. Still early to go. Um,
And obviously the indiscipline that cost Tom Curry against Argentina could. I mean, they have to be a little bit careful because they don't want to stretch their squad in any way.
yeah, they don't want to do that really. But I'm just going to go grab a quick drink, then I will be back with you, Manny.
Yep, take your time, son. I'll be here. And I'll take a look at some of the other comments. Chelsea fan, thanks a lot for staying and supporting us. Good penalty for Japan, giving us a good game so far. And you were at the final. Great to hear. I was actually watching that in a pub over here in Madras, having a few pints and enjoying myself. When Johnny Wilkinson scored that winning drop goal, that was brilliant. Thanks a lot for your compliment. Get the likes up. Wales did indeed get lucky against Fiji, it has to be said, and I really don't know if they can go very far in this tournament. I just don't see them doing well, even if they qualify for the knockout stages. So, if we take a look at the knockout stages, Wales are in fact in Pool C alongside Australia. So, the winner of Pool C gets to play the runner-up of Pool D. It could very well be that Wales finishes runner-up and ends up playing England, which will be a very interesting game. But I think Wales really won't be. I mean, England shouldn't have to worry if they play Wales, but if Wales win, but if Wales end up winning Pool C, they play the runner-up of Pool D, which could be anyone from Argentina or Japan or Samoa, and So Wales are going to have to really have the game of their life against the Aussies, because I tell you what, the Aussies are really going to look forward to, you know, coming back hard. And then, of course, Pool A and Pool B could very well see New Zealand and France coming up against Ireland and South Africa. Will it be New Zealand versus Ireland or New Zealand against South Africa? And in France also are showing that they're no pushovers at all. That excellent win they had against the All Blacks to open the tournament was absolute. It was a terrific exhibition of defensive counter-attacking rugby, and they're going to be a very tough team to beat, no doubt about it. Oh man. Of course, the last time the World Cup was held in France was in 2007, and I was able to watch that on TV5 Monde Asia. But the commentary was all in French. But I was able to somehow, watch the game and see how it was played. And well done to England for reaching the final that year, despite all obstacles. But that South African team that year, coached by Jake White and captained by John Smith and company, was just an outstanding team. And obviously, Hanno, I don't think he was born then either. And he does, of course, know about Brian Habana and how great he was. But this particular South African team, I'm sure he will consider to be, right up there as the best he's ever seen play. We've still got some advertisements. This is basic coverage on Sony Sports here in India. So there are no studio analysts. It's just straight commentary. And I'm not complaining. I mean, I never thought I'd be able to watch the tournament, but thankfully I'm able to. And we're coming back to the... Fiji should have beaten them, of course, but sadly, I think with some of these tier 2 nations, as Hannah and I were talking about, it's a case of a lack of experience and a lack of composure or what have you, and it just, told in the end. But we're coming out to the stadium in Nice, and certainly a Nice evening for rugby, pun intended. And one thing I can say about these Japanese fans is that they lend a lot of color and excitement to any sporting occasion. And so Japan will have to believe that they can still come out and win this, but it will be quite difficult. No changes made by either team at the break as of yet. Although we will find out if there have been any changes made. Lewis Ludlam coming in has had a good game so far. Obviously, England's try scorer. And Japan will very soon be kicking us off. I mean, we'll be kicking off to start the second half any minute now. And the second half begins with Japan kicking from right to left. And England should be able to claim this quite easily, and they do. Stewart, the fullback, claims it. But, yep, to the ground. But England are able to try and release the ball and move forward. Kyle Sinclair going to ground. Still not able to release the ball as of yet, but England eventually try to kick it out. It doesn't go into touch. Japan are able to retrieve that. And another high kick, hoping to find a Japanese teammate. That should be claimed well by Stewart once again. Very clean handling. And England are still trying to move forward, but Japan are blocking their every move. Forward, passing it to Laws and Earl to what looks like Elliot Daly running on the left, but he's tackled with the ball and it goes into touch. And some good rugby being played by both teams, but Japan received the ball. And does that go into
Oh,
touch? No, it
left
actually
foot
bounced.
forward. But yeah.
Well claimed by the Japanese there from that high kick. And how do they move forward now? Ooh. Or had that bounced back with a bit of backspin. That could have been Japan's kick, but a kick forward, and we see an Englishman running after it, but that is well claimed by the Japanese number 13. It was Johnny May who was hoping to retrieve that. The attempt at kicking into touch doesn't go at all well, and England are able to retrieve the ball. Johnny May has it now, but he's tackled. That is passed out by Kyle Sinclair all the way to what looks like Maro Toje. And the ball is still not being released yet, and the referee puts an end to those shenanigans. It's a penalty against England for not releasing the ball, and Japan can claim this and see if they can try and work with something.
Yeah, come on, Japan, man. Come on.
And Matsuda kicks that into touch, not too far beyond the halfway line, and we can see some indiscipline starting to creep in a little bit. No sin bins as of yet.
There's been a few cards this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this game in particular. A well-won line out, and Japan can move forward with this. Good clean passing, some good tackling from England, but great release of the ball. A nice backward kick over there, and that is well retrieved, but is sadly lost, and that goes awry. And England now have the ball in their own half, but they can certainly move forward. A nice kick from George Ford, and that actually finds Johnny May, but he has his shorts pulled down and effectively tackled. Was that a knock-on by Alex Mitchell? No. An attempted kick forward from Marchant. England still have the ball. And Itoje now to George Ford.
Kick forward. No, that was mine.
And Japan get it back. So England also showing a lack of composure there, and that Japanese kick goes into touch. So
England on the attack there.
They were on the attack, but I want to go back to this little backwards kick there from the Japanese scrum half. That was a wonderful, wonderful piece of innovation there. And had that Japanese teammate of his caught it cleanly, they would have been on course for a try. But an England line out, well claimed by Chesham from George. George has the ball now in his hand, trying to move forward, but still being held back in what looks like more. A nice kick forward from Ford, but that should be claimed fairly easily. And it is the number 14 from Japan who gets that quite well and releases it perfectly. Another kick high in the air. Is that going to be well claimed? Yes, it is. Alex Mitchell there doing some good work, but being held back. Ball released. Daly passes it out. Joe Marler coming in to see what he could do. And Mitchell trying to, sort of use his foot to try to help the ball get released. But a nice kick forward, also well claimed. The Japanese number 14, some really clean handling from him there. If only his teammates could have followed suit. And that is a nice kick forward from George. I mean, I don't think that's Ford who kicked that, but that is well claimed by Japan, and that is kicked not quite into touch. I believe Laws was able to. I think it was Johnny May who retrieved that and then kicked it forward. But a nice claim and, well, some good movement there. But once again, Japan lose the ball. And it's that lack of composure that hurts them in a way. That goes all the way beyond the goal line, and
Yeah.
the attack is
Bit of a kicking
ended.
game right now.
Yeah. Kotaro Matsushima there, the number 14. Brilliant work with claiming those high balls. And we see the number 11, Johnny Nakabula, there also trying to claim it and move forward. And we see some... this is an interesting phase right now because we're seeing a lot of attacking innovation, but some good defensive play. And I think where Japan are sort of falling short is their composure and their poor handling, really.
Yeah. It seems like that at the moment. But I should be able to do a bit better.
For what it's worth, it is a Japan scrum right now. And the scrum half is the number 9, Yutaka Nagare, who's had a really good game, I would say. Certainly, been at the heart of Japan's attacks. And, of course, Japan did make a change, bringing on their backup tight head prop, Ase Aevalu, for Ji-won Koo, Korean-sounding name there. And Japan are on the attack right now, but they lose the ball. And England are able to play it forward and have an advantage. Lewis Ludlam being brought to ground. Kyle Sinclair now with the ball trying to move forward. Once again, it's poor handling from Japan. Not a good look for the Cherry Blossoms, or the Brave Blossoms as they're now called. But the backup fullback, number 23. Oh, for Pete's sake. Lamana Lemeki able to claim that. And England having the lion's share of possession, 62-38, but not quite able to do very much with it so far.
So far, they haven't looked like doing anything.
And does Lemeki kick that into touch? No, it goes straight out in the centre, and England reclaim the ball. Stewart trying to move forward, but is stopping his tracks. Mitchell passes it out to Sinclair. Sinclair to Laws, who is also pulled down by his shorts. And Mitchell playing it back again to Ford, trying to kick it, but that goes up, and England are able to reclaim that through Jamie George. And George is also brought to ground. Back with Ford. Earl. Back with Ford again. Daly. Stewart and Chesham with him for support, and Mitchell now ends up hooking that. Once again, that goes towards the Japanese goal line. And Japan need to be careful here because England have been able to, come at them, but a great kick into touch, and that ends the England attack. Coming up to the 50-minute mark, and still no changes made by Borthwick as of yet. So taking a look at the... Oh, yeah, another Japanese change. The loose head prop Keita Inagaki is off, and Craig Miller is on for Japan, but no changes yet by Borthwick. Taking a look at the England bench, who do you think can be brought on?
I haven't had a look at the bench, unfortunately.
I think, well, Mitchell's had a good game so far, so Ben Youngs can wait, but probably someone like a Billy Vunipola can come on, maybe.
Yeah, definitely someone like him, just to provide some impact into the game.
And once again, we see some really good Japanese defending, but whenever they've had the ball and could try to play it forward, they just couldn't their poor handling has let them down. And we're seeing highlights of the first half, the Lewis Ludlam try and England celebrating. I'm not too sure how they can celebrate being only ahead by 13-9 against Japan, but Japan are no pushovers, you see.
Yeah, they're on.
And
They're,
England lose that line out again. And some good work from Japan there. If Japan can release the ball, they can try and play it forward. And some great work once again from the Japan scrum half. And that is kicked high. It won't go into touch, but England do claim the ball. And Japan making some good yardage, as they would say in American football. Speaking of which, I know that my local team back in America, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are playing against the Chicago Bears. I will take a look at the score and see how things are going. But
oh
for the
no,
moment, what happened?
the Packers lost to the Falcons. Jeez, that's awful. 25-24.
Mm.
That's not good. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so I will take a look at the score for now. And yep, the Buccaneers ended up winning 27-17 on their home turf, the Raymond James Stadium. So well done, Bucks. Good start to life after Tom Brady. And Brady really should have retired after that Super Bowl win. But it is what it is. I'm not complaining. And, the Bucks move forward. Fire those cannons. Now that it's back to the rugby, and England have made their first replacement. The tight head prop Kyle Stinkler has been brought off, and it is William Stewart who comes on, the number 18. So probably to add some fresh muscle to England's scrum, which is what they would need, perhaps. Stinkler's had a fine game, and the scrum has been collapsed. And this is not really the best thing to see.
Yeah. Uh, look, could we maybe see a last minute try from Japan to win it all? Could we? Possibly. Will we? I doubt it. But yeah, let's see
We'll
what
see.
happens.
We will see what happens. And Japan have now made a foray into the England half. It is still a Japan scrum. I believe, just the scrum being collapsed wasn't really the best thing, but we're going to find out what happens now. It is Nagare who still has the ball, and he will feed it, of course, through his players into the back and try and release it. So that was a very quickly done scrum, very efficient indeed, and Japan are making some good yardage here, moving forward with the ball very nicely and forcing England's defence to do some desperate work. And, the scrum half position is really one of the more pivotal positions. It's not necessarily a very physical position per se in terms of brute strength, but the speed and the quick handling is what makes it really great. And inability to release. But
it's
obviously and England are penalised for not rolling away, so Japan can go further. You might be too young to have seen Joost van der Westhuizen. You weren't even born then, but he was one of the best scrum halves I've ever seen play.
Yeah.
That man had pace. That man had speed, beautiful ball control, quality player. So who's the scrum half now for the Springboks? You might know.
We've got 4 at the moment. Oh, Japan going for. Suppose we've got 4 at the moment. We've got Faf de Klerk, Jaden Hendricks, Grant Williams, and Kubis Reinach. But the main one is at the moment Faf de Klerk.
Yeah, de Klerk. Francois de Klerk, I think, is what his real name is. Dead center, and Matsuda puts it through, and we're back to a 1-point game. Well, Japan are going to make this as uncomfortable for England as they can possibly get, and who knows, we could see a shock on the cards if England don't get their act together.
No way.
But
Just boo.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, the people are booing every time something
yeah,
goes to the way of
yeah.
England.
By the way, I do remember you
13.
saying, yeah, I do. Sorry, you were saying?
No, just 13-12. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, go
Uh-huh.
on.
Yeah, I do remember you saying in the group chat as well that you were hoping that Henry Pollard could come back into the squad. I think he's recovered his fitness. He wasn't selected in the original party, but he could possibly come back as a standby. Is kicking a problem with you lot?
Yeah, it is. But it has been confirmed that it is back. For us, he's been caught up. Of course, Malcolm Marks, our hooker, starting hooker, is injured, so he's been called up. Um,
Yeah.
as a number 10, but we have part-time hookers in our squad that we can use.
Yeah. England trying to move forward through Johnny May. Alex Mitchell retrieving the ball, passing it to Joe Marler, who passes it back even further. Elliot Daly, and there is an opening on the right, and it is Earl who can try and move forward, but he is stopping his tracks. But England have made some great gains here in terms of yardage. Itoje now with the ball. England are looking furious, and they want to have a try to, put some distance between them, and I don't think the try will be awarded. Courtney Laws did touch down, but there was obviously some
But
sort of an infringement taking place, and we'll find out what's going on. It could be worse. I do remember when South Africa played the Lions. You recall 37-year-old Mornay Steyn, and he was the difference, I tell you, between South
wait,
Africa losing to the Lions.
Timo,
Huh?
Timo, they're
Yeah.
looking. That's why the try hasn't been awarded. Um, I'm just going to mute my mic a sec. On-field decision is try, which is
Yeah, it actually bounced off Joe Marler's head there, which was possibly fortunate in a way. And just as well that Joe Marler has a faux hawk and not a full head of hair. And they have, in fact, awarded the try, and you have to say that it was rather fortunate in many ways. So this conversion will take England back to an 8-point lead. And as I was saying, I do seem to remember when South Africa played the Lions, you recalled Mornay Steyn. And in the third test, he was the one who kicked you lot to victory over us. I think it's fair to say that the chances of him, coming
I
back
don't
are
know how
completely.
that is awarded as a try, but it is a try.
Yeah, but as I was saying, Mornay Steyn helped you win that series against the Lions. I don't think he'll be coming back though.
No, I don't think so. But 2012 England probably secured the winner right now, right there.
Yeah, they probably should, but 25 minutes to go, anything can still happen, and that was really really fortunate. It has to be said.
Yeah.
Bouncing off Marler's head like that, and Courtney Laws claiming it, and Japan now have to try and do it all over again. The 3 penalties can put them up back in front. You never know. Kick forward, and that is well claimed by. I think that was. Apparently, Chelsea fan isn't a big fan of the Packers. Tom Brady, the NFL goat. Yeah, listen, he will be remembered as the greatest quarterback, but in terms of Super Bowl wins, but he should have, retired at least after that win, or at least started to phase himself out a little bit. Instead, he wanted to make himself the main man, and that's sort of how it ended up proving. But a nice kick forward, well claimed by Johnny May, and England can. I mean, it wasn't Johnny May. I think it was. No, it was. But England again moving forward. Jamie George, Alex Mitchell passing it out to George Ford, and it is Earl who tries to go forward, but
Oh,
Japan
chance
end up
here for
reclaiming the
England.
ball.
I think England now they probably
Yeah,
have
but
this
oh, this
one.
could be interesting. We got a Japanese player on his own. It's 2 against 1, the number 14, and it is passed back. And that could be very interesting indeed. Could Japan score a try of their own? Once again, some poor handling, but still Japan have the ball. Do they release it? Yes. Nagare passes it back out. This is some really,
Broken
really
play
good
yet for
stuff from
Japan.
Japan. And you could think that, and here's the number 22 who runs in between the defense. Stops short, but Japan are still moving forward. And a knock on puts an end to that. Once again, it's poor handling. Japan are a joy to watch, but you just think it's over enthusiasm and lack of composure. Seriously.
I can't disagree.
What? Oh. And I'll tell you what, the way the Japanese are playing, I think they're going to make it crystal clear to some of the bigger teams that England are not a team to fear, because the number 14 again, what a beautiful run that was. And if it weren't for that last-ditch tackle, he could have been on his way to scoring a try.
Yeah,
Take a look at that, Hannah. Wonderful movement there, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Great run, breaks the line. Unfortunately, speed is one thing Japanese are not known for.
I'll tell you what, I mean, England should do enough to barely qualify from their group, but Japan are going to give Argentina and potentially Samoa a good run for their money. Believe you me.
Only 8.7. It's only a try.
And I think Alex Mitchell has come off to be replaced by England's most capped international, Ben Youngs, the number 21. He, of course, overtook Jason Leonard's cap record not too long ago, but he doesn't have a World Cup to his name, unlike the man fondly known as the Fun Bus does. And Joe Marler, who's played in Leonard's position tonight, is also, I think, coming off. And he will be replaced by Ellis Ganga, who started against Argentina. So Borthwick now chooses to make a raft of changes, and we're going to see if that will add some freshness to the England pack. Jamie George is still there. I'm going to say this right now. Japan have not disgraced themselves tonight. They've actually provided some really, really, really good rugby, and with a little bit more composure and nous, they could actually be leading England. But as it is, the more experienced Northern Hemisphere team now have the scrum, and that is Ben Youngs' first touch of the ball. And Ford hoping to kick that into touch, and does so quite effectively indeed.
Yeah, I think if England play like this, they will get beaten again to be a nation.
So I was talking in the break when you were gone that it's basically Pool C and D that are going to face each other in the beginning of the knockout stages. So they could play either Wales or Australia. And
Or Fiji.
I mean,
Don't forget
maybe.
Fiji.
Yeah, Fiji are in with a chance too.
The subs are coming now for Japan. They're pushing the subs now. 8 point difference, not a lot.
And eventually Japan do win that lineup, but the referee has spotted an infringement. And I think you mentioned that one of the line-out infringements is when you go and come back. I think to avoid infringement, you've really got to stay in your position, yes?
That is from skew into the line out, so it will be a scrum to the English.
Yep. So what was the infringement?
It wasn't thrown straight into the line out. Like I
It
explained earlier,
deviated a
it
bit.
needs to be from between the two players, and it was thrown more to the Japanese side
Yeah.
and not straight.
And once again, the ball isn't released. But as you said, it is the number 8, the backup number 8, who's wearing the number 20 tonight. Billy Vanapola, who's come on to replace Lewis Ludlam, who was, of course, a try scorer in the first half. Courtney Laws scoring England's second. And there's about the best part of 20 minutes to go. And this could very well be where England, start to dominate with the bench strength proving crucial indeed. When you can bring
Yeah,
on Ben Youngs and Billy Vanapola off the bench, you have an advantage. But some turnovers there between England and Japan. And eventually Stewart reclaims it and releases it to Itoje. And Daly eventually controls that, hoping to find Johnny
got
May,
it.
but ends up kicking that into a touch along the ground.
No, they lose it. Japan, still England. Or that kick, yeah, that kick went out. Just. So yeah, but I think they should have this game wrapped up by England. Not the best of performances from them.
Not the best at all. And at least when we saw Ireland and Tonga play, we saw how Ireland's offence was able to effectively overpower Tonga's physicality. A nice chip forward, but well claimed by the Japanese. Another chip forward again, back by England. Johnny May now trying to move forward, but may not pass. England still moving forward through Genge, I think, receiving that pass from Ben Youngs. And George Ford now evading a tackle, selling the Japanese a dummy. But Sinclair losing the ball. And we're going to find out if England do make any gains here. Actually, not Sinclair. That was Stewart who lost the ball, the replacement tight head prop.
Chance, yeah, for England, yeah, not on.
Yeah. So that was Stewart who knocked it on. And
But yeah, no, I like the Ford. It looks like a quality player.
he is. And obviously, after England lost Tom Curry, it was Fordy who scored almost all their points, really. They decided that, a man down, they simply couldn't afford to try their luck against an Argentina defense. But whenever they got into position, Fordy could just kick it over. And it looks as though the captain, Courtney Laws, is being brought off.
So 10-9 ending
And
errors from both teams tells you the sort of the match. Not the prettiest.
yeah, completely agree. And Joe Marler there using his head to contribute to that try. Courtney Laws He hasn't been sin binned. I think he's been replaced, and I want to find out who his replacement is. Yes, it is the number 19. Uh,
No, maybe he has a
George Martin.
problem because he has gone straight to the changing rooms.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a good look if the England captain is injured now. So, and a
Yeah,
scrum
I
for
think
Japan, but
England
it
is.
doesn't go forward. Yeah, scrum for Japan, but it is stopped in its tracks, I think. And coming up to 16 minutes left for Japan to try and force their way back into this, but I think Chelsea fans said it in the chat. If England play like this, they're not going to stand a chance against the bigger teams. Not that Wales or Australia are much better, mind you. We actually might have the easier time of it when you, in stark contrast, you've got New Zealand and France and South Africa and Ireland on one side of the draw. I mean, is that even fair, perhaps?
Yeah,
And that's certainly not going to be a try for England because the Japanese player still had the ball, but they forced him back beyond the goal line. So obviously an
it will
attempted pass
be
back from the scrum half, but
a throw-in. Sorry, scrum to them.
you could tell from the reaction that England definitely loved that piece of play. And that is Nagare's last action for the night. His replacement is the number 21, Naoto Saito. And you can see that Japan have played some really, really good rugby, but I think when it comes to the big moments, it's that experience that really tells. But from the looks of it, I think England will need the likes of Owen Farrell back in the team. But it's going to be difficult because Ford has played really well so far at fly half.
Yeah, I think he might slot in at number 12, but that's also difficult. What's his name? Number 12 from England has done really
Tulagi,
well.
Tulagi.
Yeah, he's done really well.
Yeah,
But
a chip
Scrum,
forward from Ford, hoping to find his teammate, and Stewart touches down, and that will be England's third try of the night. So, some smart attacking play. Freddie Stewart retrieving that chip pass from George forward to touchdown in the far corner. And England are now 25-12 up.
game done.
Now, the conversion isn't going to be easy, though, because it's going to be from from all the way on the wing, really. And
Yeah.
Ford once again
So
using his wrong foot to find Freddie Stewart, and Freddie makes no mistake.
yeah, hoping he misses this because I said England by 12. Sorry. Was he out potentially? No.
I'm going to take a
Well,
look. No, not really. No, he touched down perfectly in the corner. So it is a very awkward kick from near the touchline, really. And this is the type of kick that can be skewed away. And we've seen George Ford miss a straightforward kick in the first half. So he's going to have to curl this inside with his right foot. And he does
yes.
that fairly well enough. High and
No.
handsome, and England are 27-12 up. The lead is now 15. And so, as you said, Japan are done.
Okay. Japan, I just need 3 points from you.
To
3
deny
points.
England a bonus point?
No, to get my prediction right. I said England by 12.
I thought you said you weren't looking at the scores.
No, no, for like the score difference for my not like the prediction league we have, but the front one. I mean, on Super
Okay.
Brew.
Right. And I think your prediction has pretty much come true. I think England have now shown with their bench strength that they are more than capable of outlasting this Japan team, but they still have some problems. They still have a lot of problems, and I think, offensively, I think their inability to really ram home their advantage has hurt them in some respects. They're just
Yeah,
fortunate that Japan have not really been able to, work well with the ball in their hand.
yeah. I agree with that. To be fair,
Interesting fact here: the knockout stage will have obviously the single elimination rounds, but if there's a tie in regulation time, there will be two 10-minute periods of extra time, followed by a 10-minute sudden death period, with the first team, of course, to score any points being the winner, a bit like a golden penalty or golden try. And that will be Freddie Stewart's final action of the night, to be replaced by the number 22, Marcus Smith. Excellent game from him. Very clean with his handling, very good moving forward. And his reward now will be an early bath, I would say. And Marcus Smith comes on to take his place and have a bit of a run out. And if there's still no tiebreaker, a kicking competition, much like a penalty shootout, will ensue. I don't know if you've ever seen a kicking competition to decide a rugby game, but if you have, how would you describe it?
I haven't. Well, it's usually it got if it goes to the extreme of extra time, there's usually a winner in extra time.
Hmm.
So yeah, I haven't.
Of course, the 2003 World Cup final memorably did go into two periods of extra time. And that was when, of course, Jason Leonard came on as a super sub to try and calm things down in the scrum. And of course, we had that zigzag formation, which led to Johnny Wilkinson scoring that winning drop goal. Chelsea fans should remember that quite well. Last 10 minutes of the game, and it is an England scrum. Ben Youngs has the ball in his hand. And the players engage. Youngs puts it through.
Yeah, just get over with this because unless Japan has scored try, they're not. But yeah, 10 minutes,
And
just finish the
another
game.
kick
Got
forward,
the
but
nail.
Japan reclaimed that well. And high up in the air. And an awkward bounce there, but Youngs does well to catch that and move it forward. And I believe it will be Dan Earl who will try and, Ben Earl rather, who will try and retrieve that and move that forward. Chesham now has it. And
Almost
Ben
good work
Youngs at the
there.
moment with the ball, kicks it high in the air. And that is actually knocked forward by the Japanese player, and England reclaimed that through Ben Earl. Marcus Smith with his first action. The play now switches from the right side to the left, and Ollie Lawrence coming on, tries to take it forward. And can England score a final try to further add gloss to what is a rather unflattering scoreline? We're going to take a look and see. I think Japan are started to tire a bit, and I think they're still manfully playing and preventing England from going too far forward. But England are still finding a way to move through, and this is why they say rugby is not so much a game where the starting 15 decide the outcome. It's the players coming in off the bench who really decide everything.
Yeah, 8 minutes left now. Come on.
Right. So here's another question for you, Hanno. Obviously, whenever the players get into a bit of a ruck and try and there'll be some tackles flying in, preventing the ball. There are phases coming up to 4, 5, and 6. Is there a limit as to how many phases can take place, and
No,
England
no,
almost forward? So
there isn't.
just they're just stopped at the goal line right now, but we could have another try. and we're going to take a look and see if the ball is released. It is released, but once again, some brave Japanese defending at the line. England still have the ball. Chesham trying to move forward, but he's also stopped in his tracks.
Just short of the line there.
We're at phase 9, and even here as well, there's no forward movement. Ball released once again, and the brave Blossoms are bravely defending their territory. But you sense that it really is only a matter of time. The number 17, Gange, trying to move forward.
Let's attempt to score the try.
And I think the referee's put an end to that. I do believe there's an infringement with, yep, it's called sealing off. So
Yeah.
when
So
sealing off
basically,
happens, how do you explain that? Yeah.
so it's basically when you just dive in, nose dive into the rock, and you're not on your feet, and supporting your body weight.
Yeah. You simply
So yeah,
can't do that. That's ridiculous. But how does that differ from, being off your feet? Because they're sealing off and being off your feet as a separate infringement. So is it the dive that's the
no,
problem?
no, it's the same infringement, but just different variation.
Okay. And so we're seeing a highlight of the England run there. Some great ball carrying movement. And still not quite able to get over the goal line. And England desperately wanting an extra try, but, conceding that infringement. You can see how they've been able to move from side to side, and that's the effect that the substitutes have had. And a substitution for Japan, they've replaced their flanker, Labuschagne, with number 20. And we could see an England try here with Marcus Smith passing it to Ben Earl. And we see George Martin now with the ball going to ground. Effectively released, but dropped by England. Still, they end up reclaiming the ball, but the referee has put a stop to that. I do believe that could be a penalty for England. We will find out the infringement here.
Let's see. Knock on the by England.
Yeah,
Again, handling errors has been a lot from both teams.
yeah. But Japan's have probably been a lot more costly, one would imagine.
Yeah. Um, Cheers, as fan, be yourself for joining. That's again a scrum, jeez. Scrum
Yeah,
wasting time once more.
yeah, but it's a
5 minutes left.
Japanese scrum, and a really interesting stat here is that Japan have made 151 tackles to England's 79. So defensively, they do look really good. It's just a question of how they can try and cut down their handling errors and become a much more effective attacking prospect, one would
Yeah,
say.
I think how many tackles have they missed? That's a bigger question. Quick tap and go from that free kick.
Yeah. And Jamie George is done for the night. He is replaced by the number 16, Theodore Dan. And interesting factoid in judo, which is, of course, the Japanese martial art, a Dan is another name for the senior level of belt that you wear. If you are, I believe, if you're a 5th Dan, you become a black belt holder.
Interesting. Oh, that kick will go out into touch.
I actually took judo when I was much younger. Wasn't too good at it, but I tried, and it was quite fun in a way. But I think my martial arts days are done and dusted. Fair to say.
what is still a break going on? Later. Manny, my laptop may die, so if it does, will you be able to end the stream?
Absolutely. Um,
Okay, yeah. I don't know if it will
yeah, but
start the game.
okay. Well,
Um,
before you abruptly leave, thanks a lot for arranging this, and it's always a pleasure to do a rugby watch along with you or any kind of watch along. And thanks a lot for giving me a chance to join you, as always.
no problem, no problem. Yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
Sochi claims it. Try Moya from the English. Big one, big driving mode. They're getting meters. Now they take it out. Kick coming. Oh, that kick. Not the best. Japan claim it. And it's another knock on. So it's another scrum. Oh, but yeah. Um,
Yeah, not the best performance here, and the scrum doesn't really move too much forward, and Japan end up reclaiming it. And this is always a problem when the scrum never really materializes very well, and the movement of the ball between the players isn't really at its best. But we see here that England now have the advantage with about less than 2 minutes to go. I think they're going
and
to
I think,
try and go for a final score. That is kicked into touch. And so
yeah,
the game is pretty much as good as done and dusted anyway. But
so they go to the
it hasn't been really the best performance by England. And I think there will be more and more changes for their subsequent games. In fact, their next game after this will be against
Chile.
Chile, yeah, and then they've got Samoa on the 7th of October. And neither game will be easy. I mean, they should beat Chile easily enough, but
Yeah,
on
that
the
Samoa
evidence
game is
of
a big one.
yeah,
Because if Samoa can beat Argentina, possibly, um, who knows?
but one good thing about this performance for Japan is that they still have a positive points difference. They're 15 behind, and they beat Chile by 30, so it's still a difference of
Yeah,
plus 15, which could be proved to be in their favor. And they did get a bonus point in that win. England should have had a bonus point against Argentina, but they couldn't get it. Um,
yeah.
could they get a bonus point tonight? We'll see.
Or just Hogan as
Yeah,
to
I think that they're going to want to round this off with another try, but Japan still defending bravely. Young's passing it out, and I believe Marchant has in fact touched over, so that will be a try, just as the 80th minute has elapsed. So England 32, Japan 12. A little bit of gloss to the scoreline, and they do in fact earn the bonus point.
Yeah, they get that all important bonus point. So 32-12 kick should be put over 34-12. That makes the score line 22 points. At the end, a comprehensive victory, but
Yeah.
it wasn't easy. The subs came on the 60th minute and just changed the game.
Yep. And it is still George Ford kicking, and he plants it over. And that is,
Yeah.
of course, some 34-12. And I believe that should be the end of that. Actually, it isn't yet. Well, now it is. England 34, Japan 12. A late show to add gloss to the scoreline, but not very convincing rugby played by the Red Roses. And as Hanno and I can agree, they've got a lot of work to do. Well, I think Hanno did say that his computer would die any minute, and if it has indeed died, then I take pleasure in taking you through to the end of this stream. Yep, he has in fact gone. So good stream. Busy day tomorrow. See you next time. See you as well, Chelsea fan. Thank you very much indeed. England do end up getting a bonus point, but it wasn't easy. It was ugly at times, and we will have a lot of work to do to make sure that we qualify as group winners convincingly, because come the knockout stages, it's not going to be easy. We could face either Wales or Australia. Even Fiji could be in with a shout. And so we will have to make sure we get our act together. But once you get past the first knockout stage, everything should be a little bit better. And the best teams do somehow manage to get better as the tournament goes on. And of course, as I mentioned, with Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, and France in the other half, England do have it a lot easier. But it looks as though the team that wins this World Cup could end up coming from Pool A. I mean that and Pool B or Pool B, given the tests they will have to face. But eventually a convincing win and England move on. I looked over Jordan and what did I see coming forward to carry me home? A band of angels coming after me, coming forward to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot. And with that, we will end it. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us. And we will hope to see you next time we have a rugby watch along. And have a good upcoming week. Enjoy the sporting action to come. There will be a Premiership game tomorrow between Nottingham Forest and Burnley, if you're into that. And more action from the Rugby World Cup to come. We will also be covering the Cricket World Cup as best we can. And yeah, as I've said, good to be continuing to do some work for this channel. Love being a part of it, and thanks to Chelsea fan and others in the chat, Daz Reynolds and a few others, Nipun Sharma and others. Anyone I've missed? I don't know if I've missed everyone. I think that might just about be it. And Mr. Sharma says good night. Good night to you as well, my friend. Yep, just those three. Haven't missed anyone. So, as usual, take care of yourselves. God bless. Have yourselves a good evening, and we will see you again very, 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 very soon. Cheers.